The night on Earth was cold, and the forest was darker than usual. The moonlight fell only in broken patches through the trees. Every step sounded louder, and every shadow looked alive. Ethan, a young hunter, set his traps carefully. He was not hunting animals for food this time. He was testing something new, something he had built himself. A net trap that could catch anything that stepped inside. But even he did not expect what was about to happen. He crouched low, tying the ropes, checking the knots again and again. The silence of the forest pressed against his ears. No wolves, no owls, not even the wind seemed to breathe. It was too quiet, almost unnatural. And then it came, a faint rustle. Like something or someone walking slowly. Ethan's heart jumped, his trap was set, hidden under leaves and dirt. He held his breath, waiting. The sound grew louder. A shadow appeared between the trees, not a deer, not a bear. Something taller, moving strangely. The figure stepped forward, and the trap snapped. The ropes tightened, the net flew up. And the figure was caught. It cried out, not like an animal, but like a person. A voice, sharp and trembling, filled the air. Ethan froze. This was no animal. It was a girl, but not a human girl. Her skin glowed faintly under the moon. Her hair shimmered with silver light. Her eyes, wide with fear, burned like liquid gold. And her ears, long, sharp, nothing human at all. She thrashed in the net, her voice breaking. "Please don't eat me." Ethan staggered back. He could not believe what he was seeing. An alien caught in his trap. On Earth, in his forest, it felt impossible. Like a dream or a nightmare, the alien girl pulled against the ropes. Her hands were clawed, her teeth sharp, but her face looked young, fragile, more like a frightened child than a warrior. Ethan whispered to himself, What are you?" The girl whimpered, shaking her head. "You're human. I know the stories. You eat us." Her voice cracked with terror, her eyes filled with tears, and Ethan's chest tightened. He had heard strange rumors in the village, stories of lights in the sky, whispers about missing cattle, about shadows flying over farms, but he never believed them until now, until this moment. He looked at her, at the alien girl trapped and trembling, and he felt something new. Not fear, not anger, but responsibility. "Stop struggling. I'm not going to hurt you," Ethan said softly. His words were calm, but his hands shook. The girl did not believe him. She curled into herself, pulling away. "I know humans," she cried. "You take, you burn, you eat." Her words hit him like knives. What had her people told her? Why did she fear him so much? Ethan lowered his knife. He stepped closer, slowly. The ropes creaked as she pulled harder. Her breathing quickened. Her golden eyes flashed like fire in the dark. She was ready to fight. But she was also breaking down. One wrong move, and she might scream loud enough for the whole forest to hear. Ethan's heart pounded. He knew he had to make her trust him, but how could he, when everything about him was the thing she feared most? He cut the first rope. The girl flinched, closing her eyes as if waiting for pain, but none came. The net loosened a little. He cut another rope. Her hand slipped free. She looked at him, shocked. You're letting me go?" she whispered. Her voice was small, like she couldn't believe it. Ethan nodded. "I don't eat people, I don't hurt people, I just want to know why you're here?" The girl blinked. Her golden eyes softened, but the fear remained. Her lips trembled as she whispered back, "You'll regret knowing." The forest grew colder around them. The wind finally returned, carrying a sound, a deep hum. Far above the trees, Ethan looked up. Lights flickered in the night sky, moving fast, not planes, not stars, something else. Something searching. The girl's face went pale. Her eyes widened in panic. "They're coming," she said, her voice breaking. "If they find me with you, they'll kill us both." Ethan's blood ran cold. This was not just an accident. This was the beginning of something much bigger, and he was already trapped in it. Just like her, the night was long and heavy, and the human named Daniel sat across from the alien girl he had trapped. The fire between them was small, its flames dancing against the cold breeze of the forest. Sparks cracked and flew, shadows shifting across her face. She sat with her arms tight around her knees, eyes never leaving him every time he moved. Even slightly, she flinched. Daniel could see it, the fear in her eyes. It wasn't just fear of being caught, it was something deeper, older, like she expected him to hurt her in ways he didn't even want to imagine. He sighed and leaned back. "I'm not going to eat you," he said quietly, almost joking. But his words only made her shoulders tense more. The girl's voice came finally, broken and sharp like glass. That's what your kind always says. Before they do, her words cut through the air. Daniel froze, confused. He tilted his head. My kind? She swallowed, the glow of the fire showing the trembling of her lips. Humans, she whispered, like the word itself was a threat. Daniel laughed softly, though there was no humor in it. Well, that's news to me. I didn't know we were the monsters in bedtime stories. Her eyes narrowed. Glowing faintly in the firelight, he noticed then. They weren't like human eyes. They shimmered silver, reflecting every spark. Like stars trapped in her gaze. The silence stretched. He poked the fire with a stick, sparks rising again. You're scared, he said finally, but you don't have to be. I'm not your enemy, but she didn't relax. Instead, she whispered in her strange accent, that is what the others said. The others who came before you, they trapped us. Took us away, none returned. Daniel's chest tightened, his mind raced. Did she mean other humans? Explorers? Soldiers? No human colony was supposed to exist on this wild planet, and yet her words told a different story. He leaned forward, curiosity mixing with unease. Others? What others? Her lips pressed tight. Her eyes darted to the ropes around her wrists, then back to him. He could see the battle inside her, fear against the need to speak. Finally, she whispered, the men from the sky. They wore skins of metal, they hunted us, and laughed when we begged. Her voice broke, tears forming in her strange eyes. Daniel's blood ran cold. It wasn't him she feared. It was the shadows of whoever had come before. Whoever looked like him, whoever had ruined her trust. His grip on the stick tightened until it snapped in his hand. He forced his voice calm. I'm not like them. I don't hurt people for sport. I don't hunt people at all. But she shook her head, whispering, you set a trap and I fell into it. That is hunting. Her words hit him harder than he expected. He opened his mouth, then closed it. She was right after all. Hadn't he set the trap with the intention of catching something? He just never thought it would be someone like her. The fire crackled between them. Filling the silence, finally Daniel stood. Walking slowly toward her, she recoiled instantly, her body pressing back into the shadows like she was ready to vanish into the night. He stopped at a safe distance, raised his hands, and said, look, I'll prove it. With careful fingers, he reached down and loosened the knots around her wrists. The rope slid free, falling into the dirt. She stared at him wide-eyed, rubbing her raw skin. Her lips parted slightly, confusion flickering over her fear. Why? She whispered. Daniel shrugged, sitting back by the fire. Because you're not my enemy and you don't belong in ropes. She didn't move at first. Her silver eyes studied him with suspicion. Then slowly, carefully, she shifted closer to the fire again. For a while, they sat in silence. The forest sang around them with distant howls and rustles. She hugged her knees tighter. But now her eyes weren't filled only with fear. They carried something else, something dangerous, curiosity. Daniel noticed it when she asked her next question. If you do not hunt us, then why are you here? He hesitated, staring into the fire. I got stranded. My ship crashed a few days ago. I'm just trying to survive until I can figure out a way off this planet. She tilted her head, her silver hair catching the firelight like liquid metal. You are alone? He nodded. Yeah, just me. Something changed in her expression. It was quick, like a shadow across her face. But Daniel didn't miss it. The fear eased just a little, replaced with something softer, something he couldn't quite name. Then, without warning, a sound split the night, sharp, mechanical, unnatural. Both of them froze. The girl's head snapped toward the trees, her eyes wide with alarm. Daniel's instincts kicked in. He grabbed the crude spear he had made earlier. Standing slowly, his eyes searched the darkness. The girl whispered, trembling, "They're here." Daniel turned to her sharply. "Who?" Her lips trembled as she spoke. "The men of metal, the hunters. They come when the night is quiet. They always come." His pulse raced, a chill went down his spine. He could hear it now, too, the crunch of heavy footsteps, the faint hum of machines closing in from the shadows. The girl clutched at her chest, whispering fast in her own language before switching back to his. "They will take me again. They will kill you." Daniel's jaw clenched. He tightened his grip on the spear. His heart thundered in his chest. But his voice was steady when he spoke. "Not if I stop them." The girl's eyes widened, staring at him like he was mad, but in her fear, something else sparked, something she hadn't felt in years. Hope? The night grew darker, the sound of metal approaching louder. The fire flickered as if it too feared what was coming. Daniel stood tall, human, and fragile compared to the machines. But in that moment, he wasn't just prey. He was something else, and as the hunters came closer, the alien girl whispered the first word she had spoken without fear. Why? Daniel looked at her, his eyes sharp, and answered, "Because someone has to fight them." The forest held its breath, and then the night erupted with the sound of war. The night seemed to close around them. Every sound from the forest fell silent. No insects, no birds. Not even the wind moved the trees anymore, only the heavy, grinding steps of machines echoed through the shadows. Daniel gripped his spear tighter. His breath came slow and heavy. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't trained for this. But something in him refused to run across the fire. The alien girl's silver eyes were wide. She had pulled herself into the shadows, but her gaze never left him. There was terror there, but also something new, something searching. The first figure emerged from the tree line. Its body glinted like armor under the faint starlight. Tall, broad, and cold, its helmet shone like a skull made of metal. Behind it, more shadows followed, all moving in a perfect line. Daniel counted at least 5, all armed. All scanning the clearing like hunters tracking prey. The girl pressed her hand to her mouth, whispering in her language, her voice trembling like a prayer. Then she switched to his tongue, her voice sharp and full of dread. "You cannot fight them. They will tear you apart." Daniel didn't answer. His body was tense, his mind racing. He looked around quickly. Only the fire, the trees, and his crude spear. But his jaw clenched hard. He had survived the crash. He had survived hunger and cold, and now he would survive this. The lead hunter's voice broke the silence, deep and metallic. Human life form detected. It stepped forward, scanning him with a red beam of light. Stray element. Capture and process. Daniel's grip on his spear tightened. His heart thundered, but his voice was steady. "You're not taking her." The words hung in the air like defiance against a storm. The alien girl gasped, her silver eyes wide in disbelief. The hunters shifted, their weapons raising. A hum filled the clearing, cold, mechanical, merciless. Daniel didn't wait. He lunged forward, spear aimed at the closest one. The sharp tip struck the armor with a clang. Bouncing off, the machine turned its helmet toward him. As if mocking the attempt in that moment, Daniel realized something. His weapon was useless. The hunter's arm swung, metal striking like a hammer. Daniel barely rolled aside, the blow smashing into the dirt where he had stood. Earth exploded upward. Daniel scrambled to his feet, sweat running down his face. His chest heaved, but his eyes stayed sharp. He couldn't match their strength. He couldn't match their weapons. But he had something they didn't: desperation. The girl screamed, "Run!" But Daniel didn't. Instead, he grabbed a burning branch from the fire and swung it like a torch. Flames roared in the dark. The machine stepped back for a second, their sensors flickering against the sudden light. Daniel's lips curled into a grim smile. "Guess you don't like fire." For the first time, the girl's eyes widened. Not in fear, but in surprise, she whispered almost to herself. "He fights." The machines regrouped, spreading out. Their cold voices echoed in unison. "Capture protocol. Override fear response." They advanced again. Closing the circle, Daniel's mind raced. He wasn't going to last long. The fire was small. The branch wouldn't hold out forever. But then his eyes caught something, above, in the trees, thick branches hanging low. An idea struck him. He backed toward the girl, lowering his voice. "When I move, stay close to me. Don't run alone, got it?" She hesitated, trembling. "Why would you protect me?" Daniel's eyes stayed locked on the hunters. "Because no one else will." Before she could answer, he grabbed another burning log and hurled it at the nearest hunter. Sparks burst across its chest. The machine staggered for a heartbeat, just long enough for Daniel to grab the girl's wrist and pull her toward the trees. They ran, the hunters roaring behind them. Weapons fired, bright red blasts tearing through the night. Trees exploded with fire and smoke. Daniel shoved the girl forward, shouting, "I climb!" She looked at him confused until she saw where his eyes pointed. The low branches of a massive tree stretched overhead. She scrambled up with surprising speed. Her silver hair flashing in the firelight, Daniel followed, his muscles burning as he pulled himself higher. The machines reached the tree base, their red eyes scanning upward. Their voices droned. "Target relocation detected. Initiating pursuit." One of them raised its weapon. Aiming upward, Daniel's heart leapt. He grabbed the thick branch and shook it hard. The tree groaned, the branch cracked, then snapped. A heavy limb fell like a hammer, crushing the hunter beneath. Metal crunched, sparks flew. The machine writhed, then went still. The others froze, their heads turning toward their fallen companion. Daniel's lips pulled into a tight grin. Guess you're not unbreakable after all. The girl's breath caught. Her eyes glowed brighter in the dark. You killed one. But the machines didn't falter for long. They raised their weapons again, blasting upward. Heat and light seared past Daniel's face. The tree shook violently. Move, he shouted, climbing higher. The girl followed, nimble and quick despite her trembling. Branches tore at their skin, the machines kept firing, the lower half of the tree catching fire. The forest itself seemed to scream as flames spread. Smoke filled the air, choking at the top. The girl pointed. There. The cliffs. Through the smoke, Daniel saw it. A sharp ridge cutting through the forest. If they could reach it, maybe they could lose the hunters. Go, he yelled. They leapt from the tree into another, branches bending under their weight. The machines roared below, pursuing without pause. They moved like shadows of death, relentless. Daniel's chest burned. His arms ached, but he pushed on. The girl kept glancing back at him, her silver eyes filled with something new, something like disbelief mixed with respect. At last they reached the cliff's edge. The ground fell away into a black abyss below. The hunters were closing fast, their footsteps shaking the earth. Daniel stood at the edge, chest heaving. The girl clutched his arm, whispering, "We are trapped." But Daniel's eyes were sharp. His lips curled into a defiant smile. No, not trapped. Just outnumbered, the hunters raised their weapons, ready to fire. The girl buried her face against him, certain it was the end, but Daniel stepped forward, spear in one hand, torch in the other, and shouted into the night, "If you want her, you'll have to go through me." The machines paused, scanning him. Then one stepped forward, its voice colder than the others. Human resistance identified, marked for elimination. The girl gasped, gripping his arm. But Daniel didn't step back. He planted his feet firm against the cliff, and for the first time in her life, the alien girl realized, this human wasn't like the monster she had known. He was something different, something dangerous. The flames of the burning forest behind them lit the sky red. Smoke twisted upward like a warning. The hunters advanced, step by step, closing the gap. And then, from deep in the forest, another sound echoed, low and rumbling. The earth shook under their feet. The hunters froze, turning their heads. Daniel narrowed his eyes. What now? The girl's silver eyes widened with shock. She whispered one word, voice trembling with awe. The beasts. The night was alive with fire and fear. Smoke curled up through the trees, glowing red from the flames below. But now, something even more dangerous moved through the darkness. The ground shook again. Leaves rattled. Birds fled into the sky in wild panic. Even the hunters, cold machines built for war, turned their heads toward the sound, their red eyes flickering with a rare hesitation. Daniel stood at the edge of the cliff, chest heaving. His spear was cracked. His torch nearly burned out. The alien girl clung to his arm, trembling, her silver eyes wide with dread. She whispered, her voice barely more than breath, "The beasts, they are older than my people, older than your kind. They do not stop. They do not forgive." Daniel narrowed his eyes. He didn't know what was coming, but he could feel it. A primal warning crawled through his bones. The forest roared, trees snapped like twigs. Shadows loomed larger and larger, then, from the smoke, it emerged, a massive creature, at least 15 feet tall. Its skin shimmered like stone mixed with steel. Its mouth opened wide, lined with glowing fangs that dripped with heat. Its eyes burned golden, alive with hunger. Behind it, more shadows moved, 3, 4, maybe 5 of them. The hunters adjusted their stance. Weapons hummed to full power. Their cold voices broke through the chaos. Beast-class threat detected. Elimination priority 1. Red beams shot out. Blasts of light burned into the forest. The first beast roared, the sound shaking the cliff like thunder. It charged forward, claws tearing into the ground. Metal met flesh, sparks filled the night. The machine struck fast, but the beast was faster. It ripped one of them in half with a single swipe. Metal screamed, sparks exploded, and the broken body crashed against a tree. Daniel and the girl clung to the cliff edge. His heart hammered. He had fought machines, but this was different. This was raw power. Unstoppable. The girl pressed close to him, her voice breaking. "We must run, Daniel. If we stay, we die. But where could they go? Behind them was only the cliff, black emptiness. Below, nothing but shadows. Before them, machines and monsters tearing each other apart. Another beast leapt into the fray, its claws tore through a hunter's chest. Sparks lit the air, the remaining machines roared back, firing everything they had. Red light against golden fangs, steel against ancient muscle. Daniel's jaw tightened. He couldn't run, not yet. He pulled the girl toward a low ridge along the cliff, crouching behind it as the battle raged. The girl's body shook with every roar, but her eyes stayed on him, she whispered. "Why do you not leave me?" "I was your captive. Your people would have traded me for safety." Daniel glanced at her, sweat streaking down his face. His voice was rough but steady. "Because I'm not like your people think." "I don't leave others behind for a moment." Her silver eyes softened. Something unspoken passed between them. But then the ridge shook violently. Another beast slammed into the cliff. Claws dug into stone. Rocks rained down. Daniel covered her with his body as stone fragments tore the air. The cliff cracked, sending small chunks tumbling into the abyss. The girl gasped. "If the cliff falls, we fall with it." Daniel gritted his teeth. His mind raced. He had to find a way out. The battle raged on. The hunters fought with mechanical precision. But the beasts were pure fury. One after another, the machines fell, crushed or torn apart, but the beasts, though injured, only grew wilder. Their golden eyes burned hotter. The last hunter stood at the edge of the fire, its weapon glowing bright. Maximum output engaged, it droned. A beam of red light burst out, cutting into one beast's chest. The monster howled, its body smoking, yet it didn't stop. It charged, slamming into the machine with such force that both toppled into the burning forest below. Silence followed, broken only by the crackle of flames. Daniel peeked over the ridge, his stomach tightened. The ground was littered with broken metal and blood that glowed faintly gold. But the beasts were still standing, 3 of them, panting, hungry. Their golden eyes now turned upward, toward the cliff, and toward him. The girl's voice cracked. "They smell us." "They always smell us." Daniel's breath caught, his hands clenched tight on his broken spear. He knew they couldn't fight, not like this. But they couldn't stay either. The beasts moved closer. Their claws digging into the rock, step by step they climbed the cliff. The sound was like knives carving into stone. The girl's silver eyes locked on him. "There is only one way," she whispered. The drop. Daniel's head whipped toward the black abyss. "You want us to jump?" "That's suicide." Her voice trembled, but there was no fear in it, only certainty. Better to fall into the unknown than to be eaten alive. The beasts roared again. Shaking the cliff, one massive claw reached up. Inches from where they crouched, Daniel's chest rose and fell. His eyes locked with hers for a heartbeat. Everything else disappeared. The fire, the screams, the monsters. Only her silver eyes staring into his. Desperate but trusting. He swallowed hard. His voice low. "All right, but you better be right about this." He grabbed her hand, their fingers locked tight. The cliff cracked again, stone breaking free. The beast claw slammed down where they had just been. Daniel didn't wait. He pulled her with him, and together, they leapt into the dark. The air tore past them. Her scream echoed into the abyss. His own voice was silent, only his grip on her hand steady. The world vanished into blackness. No ground, no sky, only endless falling above. The beast roared in fury, unable to reach them. The firelight vanished, swallowed by the night. For a long, breathless moment, it felt like the fall would never end. Then splash, ice-cold water engulfed them. The river swallowed their bodies whole. Dragging them through a roaring current, Daniel fought to hold her close. Lungs burning, water pulling them deeper. When they finally burst to the surface, coughing and gasping, the current carried them fast. The forest fire was now far behind. The sounds of the beasts faded into the distance. The girl clung to him, shivering. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "You jumped for me, when you could have let me go." Daniel spat water. His chest heaving, he gave a tired, crooked grin. "Told you already I don't leave people behind." Her silver eyes glowed faintly in the moonlight. And for the first time, she didn't look at him with fear, but with something else, something she had never given to any human before. Trust, but the river carried them deeper into the unknown. And as Daniel glanced ahead, he saw it. Dark ruins rising out of the mist, sharp towers broken and jagged, silent, waiting, and his stomach sank because whatever had built those ruins was not dead. The river spat them out at last, throwing their bodies onto a rocky bank. Daniel collapsed on his back, lungs heaving. His hand still clung to the alien girl's wrist, refusing to let go even as the water tried to drag her back. She rolled onto her side, coughing. Her silver hair stuck to her cheeks. Her glowing eyes blinked at the night sky. "We survived," she whispered, her voice trembling between disbelief and relief. Daniel sat up slowly, scanning their surroundings. The fire in the distance was gone, hidden by trees and mist, but ahead of them, looming through the fog, stood the ruins. Black towers rose like broken teeth, jagged and sharp. Some leaned against each other as though exhausted by centuries of standing. Strange markings glowed faintly across the cracked stone, pulsing like the ruins themselves were alive. Daniel frowned, unease prickling across his skin. "That's not natural," he muttered. The girl sat up, following his gaze. The moment her eyes landed on the ruins, her face went pale. She shook her head, whispering fast in her own language. Then in broken human tongue she said, "We cannot go there, not safe." Daniel arched a brow. "Safe? Nothing's safe here, but if those beasts are still up there, this might be our only chance to hide." Her jaw tightened. Her hands trembled. "That place, it remembers it is forbidden to my people. No one who enters returns." Daniel stared at the glowing ruins. A strange wind blew through, carrying whispers that almost sounded like voices. He rubbed his arms against the chill. "Yeah, well, I'm not exactly spoiled for options." He turned to her. "You can stay here if you want, but I'm going in." Her silver eyes snapped to his. Wide and fearful, she opened her mouth to argue, but then stopped. Something flickered in her expression. A memory, maybe, of him standing against the hunters, of him jumping with her into the abyss. Finally she whispered, "If you enter, I enter." Together they rose and walked toward the ruins. Each step felt heavier than the last, as though unseen hands pulled at their legs. The mist thickened, swallowing the stars above. By the time they reached the first crumbling arch, Daniel's breath fogged in front of him, though the night was not cold. The stone walls pulsed faintly with blue veins of light. The girl touched one with shaking fingers. Her hand recoiled instantly. "It still lives," she whispered. "The ruins." "They breathe." Daniel's jaw clenched. He could hear it now, too. Faint, like a heartbeat buried in the walls. Slow and steady. Inside, the air was thick and heavy. Shadows twisted unnaturally. The corridors bent in ways that made no sense. Doors led into halls that curved back into themselves. Symbols carved deep into the stone glowed brighter with every step they took. Daniel tightened his grip on his makeshift spear, his voice low. "Feels like this place doesn't want us here." The girl walked close, her silver eyes darting around. Her voice trembled. "It wants something." Always hungry, they turned a corner and Daniel froze. A skeleton lay slumped against the wall, not human. Its body was long. With forearms and a split jaw, the bones glowed faintly, as if whatever life had once filled it still lingered. The girl gasped, covering her mouth. "Ancients," she whispered, "the first ones." "Before even my people." Daniel crouched, staring at the bones. They were cracked, but not from age, from something stronger, like claws or teeth. He rose slowly, unease crawling up his spine. Whatever killed them might still be here. Deeper they went. The halls grew darker, the whispers louder. Daniel could almost make out words now. Voices calling his name, taunting, promising. At one point the girl stumbled. Falling against him, he caught her quickly. Her body trembling, she whispered, "It is inside my head, the ruins speak, they say." "They want you." Daniel's stomach tightened. He glanced at the walls, glowing brighter now, pulsing like a living heart. His voice was rough. "Well, they'll have to go hungry." But even as he spoke, the ground shook beneath them. Dust fell from the ceiling. The blue veins of light flared red. The whispers grew into a chorus. Ahead, a massive chamber opened. The ceiling soared high above, broken but still alive with light. In the center stood a black monolith, its surface smooth yet shifting like liquid stone. The girl clutched Daniel's arm, her voice breaking. "No, no, we must leave. That is the heart." Daniel frowned. "The heart?" She nodded, trembling. "The core of the ruins, it feeds on life. That is why none return." Even as she spoke, the monolith pulsed. A wave of heat and pressure rolled through the chamber. Daniel staggered, clutching his head. His vision swam, and then images, flashes of fire, of war, of humans in steel suits tearing through alien villages. The girl's people screaming, running, hunted, and behind them, shadows of the beasts, all controlled by the same glowing core. Daniel gasped, stumbling back, his voice raw. It's showing me something. The girl's eyes widened. It remembers through you. It chooses you. The monolith pulsed again, stronger. This time the whispers formed words, loud and clear, human. You are the key, stay, join, feed. Daniel's chest heaved. He stumbled forward without meaning to. His body moved on its own. His spear clattered to the floor. The girl screamed, grabbing him. Her silver eyes blazed as she pulled. Daniel! Fight it. If you give yourself, it will never stop. It will eat the galaxy. His mind burned. The voices filled every corner, promising power, safety, an end to fear. His knees buckled, his hands reached toward the monolith. But then her grip was small. Trembling, desperate, but it was real. Human. Her silver eyes locked with his, shimmering with tears. Her voice broke but did not falter. You are not them, she whispered. You are not the hunters. You are Daniel, the one who freed me, the one who fought for me, the one who jumped with me. If you give in now, I will be alone again. Her words cut through the storm in his mind. For a moment, the whispers faltered. The monolith pulsed angrily, shadows clawing at his vision. Daniel roared, dragging his body back. His hand tore away from the pull. Sweat poured down his face, his chest burned. But his voice was steady. No, he growled, glaring at the monolith. I don't belong to you. The chamber shook violently. Cracks split the stone. The monolith screamed, a sound like 1,000 voices crying out at once. Daniel grabbed the girl, pulling her close. And we need to run! Together they sprinted through the collapsing halls. The walls bled light, the whispers turned to shrieks. Stone shattered around them. But Daniel's grip on her never loosened. At last they burst through a broken arch, stumbling into the open air. Behind them, the ruins collapsed with a final roar, sinking into the earth as if swallowed whole. The girl collapsed against him, chest heaving, her eyes wet with tears. She whispered, You fought it, you resisted. No one ever has before, Daniel panted, sweat dripping down his chin, his voice rough but sure. I told you I don't leave people behind. And I don't give myself up to monsters. She stared at him. Silent. Her silver eyes burned with something new. Not just trust now, but something deeper, something dangerous. But before either of them could speak, the forest ahead rustled. Heavy footsteps echoed. Shadows moved. Daniel raised his broken spear, his voice grim. Looks like our night's not over yet, the girl whispered, trembling. No, it's worse. They followed us, and from the mist, glowing red eyes appeared. More hunters, more machines, marching forward. The forest trembled with every step of the machines. Their glowing red eyes pierced through the mist. A dozen hunters, tall as trees, their bodies armored in black plates. Their jaws split open, dripping with fire and steam. Daniel tightened his grip on his broken spear. His chest heaved, muscles trembling from exhaustion. But his eyes were steady. They don't stop, do they? He muttered. The alien girl clung to his arm, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Fear made her voice shake. They are bound to the heart. When it screamed, they heard, Now they come to finish us. Daniel glanced at her, jaw set. Then we don't let them finish anything. The hunters advanced, their steps heavy and slow as if savoring the chase. One raised a clawed hand and slammed it into the ground. The earth cracked, sending shock waves through the forest. Daniel barely held his footing. He turned to the girl. Can you fight? Her throat bobbed, her hands trembled. Not like you, my kind. We run, we hide, we don't fight machines. Daniel shook his head, a grim smile tugging at his lips. Then maybe it's time you learned. The nearest hunter lunged, its claws slicing through the air. Daniel shoved the girl aside and rolled forward. His broken spear scraped across the machine's chest, sparks flying. The blow did little damage, but it slowed the monster for a breath, just enough for Daniel to duck another strike. The girl screamed his name. He turned just in time to see another hunter reaching for her. Its claws gleamed red. Without thinking, Daniel sprinted, slamming his shoulder into the girl and rolling with her out of reach. The claws gouged the ground where she had been, showering them with dirt. Daniel growled, forcing himself to his feet. They want me. Not you, he realized aloud. His eyes hardened. Then let's give them hell. The girl's voice broke. But you cannot fight them all. Daniel smirked. Maybe not. But I don't need to fight them all. Just enough to make them regret chasing us. The machines circled now, red eyes burning in the dark. They moved in strange unison, like predators bound by one mind. The girl's silver eyes darted between them, panic rising. They will surround us. We cannot run. Daniel narrowed his eyes. Maybe not run, but lead them. He scanned the trees, the broken ground. And then, his gaze locked on the ruins behind them, the earth still cracked and glowing faintly from the collapse. He turned to her. Those ruins nearly swallowed us whole. What if we drag them into it? Her eyes widened in horror. The ruins, they will eat everything, they don't care who. Daniel grinned, wild and reckless. Exactly, let's see if those monsters like being on the menu for once before she could argue. He grabbed her hand and sprinted. The hunters roared and charged, their footsteps shaking the forest floor. Branches tore at their faces as they ran. The girl stumbled, but Daniel never let go. His chest burned, his legs screamed, but his will was iron behind them. The hunters crashed through trees, their claws tearing trunks apart like paper. Their voices were not roars, but metallic screeches, like the ruins themselves were crying out for blood. At last, the ground shifted beneath their feet. Cracks split open, glowing faintly blue and red. The ruins' heart still pulsed deep below, angry and awake. Daniel skidded to a stop at the edge of a massive fissure. The earth yawned open, a glowing abyss that breathed heat and whispers. The girl gasped, clutching his arm. We cannot. Daniel's voice was firm. We have to. He turned, facing the machines now charging toward them. His spear lifted, his stance ready. Stay behind me. The first hunter lunged. Daniel ducked under its claw and jammed the broken spear into the crack of its armor. Sparks burst, the machine staggered but didn't fall. It shrieked, striking back, claws slicing the air. Daniel barely rolled aside. The blow missed but shook the ground, sending rocks tumbling into the glowing abyss. The girl screamed as the edge crumbled beneath her feet. Daniel caught her just in time, pulling her back. His heart thundered. His voice broke with anger. I told you I won't let go. The hunters pressed closer. Their shadows loomed like titans. Daniel's chest heaved. His arms trembled, his weapon cracked, but his eyes burned with defiance. The girl stared at him, her tears glimmering. Her voice shook but found strength. If you fall, I fall too. Something inside her changed then. Her silver eyes flared brighter, her hair lifted as though pulled by invisible currents. Her voice grew stronger. The ruins called you. But they also called me. Daniel blinked, startled. What are you? But the ground beneath them pulsed. Responding to her, the glowing cracks spread wider. The whispers grew louder. Her body shimmered faintly, as though the ruins themselves recognized her. The hunters paused, their movement slowing. Their red eyes flickered. Some stumbled as if caught in confusion. Daniel's jaw dropped. You're connected to it. She turned to him, her face pale but fierce. Not connected. Born from it. The word struck him like a blow. His mind reeled, but there was no time. The hunters recovered, charging again. The girl stepped forward now, her small frame glowing with silver light. She raised her hands, and the cracks in the earth answered. A wave of energy surged upward, blasting through the ground like fire. 2 hunters were caught in the blast. Their armored bodies twisted, melted, and then shattered into glowing shards. Daniel's eyes widened, breathless. You can destroy them. Her face twisted in pain, sweat beading on her skin. Not destroy, only hold them back. The ruins eat my strength too. She staggered, nearly collapsing. Daniel caught her before she hit the ground, his voice fierce. Then don't burn yourself out, I'll fight. You guide me? She clutched his shirt, gasping. Together? He nodded, eyes blazing. Always. The hunters roared and charged again. This time Daniel didn't back away. He sprinted forward, using the fissures and glowing cracks to his advantage, ducking under claws, slamming rocks into armor joints, forcing the machines toward the unstable ground. The girl raised her hands again, her silver glow flared. Every time Daniel struck, she amplified it. The ground shook, cracks widened, hunters stumbled into them, their massive bodies swallowed by the abyss. But it wasn't enough, more poured from the mist. Red eyes like endless fireflies of death. Daniel's chest heaved, his voice rough. There's too many. The girl clutched his arm, her voice breaking. Then, there is only one way. Her silver eyes locked with his, trembling with both fear and resolve. The ruins want me. If I give myself, maybe they will collapse, bury everything, the hunters, the machines. All of it. Daniel's blood ran cold. His grip tightened on her shoulders, his voice thundered. No, you're not giving yourself to them, not after everything. She smiled weakly, tears streaming down her cheeks. Daniel, you saved me. Now let me save you. The ruins pulsed again, stronger as if waiting for her choice. Daniel's heart pounded, his mind screamed. He could not lose her, not now, not after all this. He shook his head violently. No, There has to be another way. But even as he spoke, the hunters closed in, red eyes burning brighter, claws raised. Their screeches filled the forest, and the girl stepped forward. Silver light pouring from her skin, her voice whispered, "Forgive me." The ground beneath them split wide open. The ruins roared, the earth swallowed fire. The hunters screamed, and Daniel reached for her hand. Refusing to let go, the ground split wider, glowing veins of fire and silver light tearing through the forest. The ruins roared like a living beast, hungry and awake. The hunters stumbled but still advanced, their red eyes glowing brighter. Their metallic claws tore through the earth, desperate to reach their prey. Daniel's arms shook as he held the girl's hand. Refusing to let her go, her body glowed brighter with each second, the ruins feeding on her strength. Her silver eyes locked on him, tears glimmering. "You must let me do this," she whispered. Daniel's voice broke, rough with fury. "No, you're not giving yourself to them, not while I still breathe." The hunters screamed and charged. A claw the size of a tree slammed into the ground beside them. Spraying dirt and fire, Daniel dragged the girl back. His broken spear raised, his body was weak. His legs barely held him up, but his spirit burned brighter than any machine. The girl clutched his chest, her voice trembling. "Daniel, if I give myself, everything ends," the hunters. "The ruins, they will collapse together. No one else will suffer. You will be free." Daniel's jaw clenched. His heart screamed at the thought of losing her. His voice was hoarse, desperate. "You think freedom means losing you? No. Freedom means fighting for what matters, and you matter." Her silver glow flickered. She shook her head, pain etched into her face. "I am not like you. I was born from the ruins. I don't belong in your world," Daniel gritted his teeth. His hand gripped hers harder. "You belong with me, do you hear me? Not as some tool, not as some sacrifice, you're more than that." Another hunter lunged, its claws descending like blades of fire. Daniel shoved the girl behind him and braced. His spear met the claw with a crack, splinters flew. His arms nearly snapped under the weight. But he held. His roar shook the air. "You'll take me before you take her." The hunter snarled and pressed down. Daniel's knees buckled, his body screamed with pain. And then, silver light flared. The girl stepped forward. Her small hands pressed against the monster's chest. A shockwave burst from her palms. The hunter screamed, its red eyes flickering. Its armor cracked before shattering into shards that fell into the abyss. She fell to her knees, gasping. Her strength nearly gone, Daniel caught her. Holding her against his chest, his voice shook. "You're killing yourself doing this," she smiled faintly. "Maybe that is my purpose." Daniel's eyes burned with rage and grief. His heart pounded. He shook his head violently. "No, your purpose is not to die. Your purpose is to live, to be free, just like me." The ruins thundered louder, the fissures spread, swallowing trees. Swallowing machines, the forest was dying. The hunters pressed forward, endless, dozens of glowing red eyes in the mist. Daniel knew he had seconds, his mind raced, his body screamed. And then, he remembered the moment he first caught her, the trap snapping shut. Her terrified silver eyes staring at him. She thought he would eat her, thought he was a monster. But instead he protected her, he chose, and now, he had to choose again. He pressed his forehead to hers, his voice low, raw. "If anyone gets to decide your fate, it's you. But if you walk into that abyss, I'm coming with you." Her eyes widened, shimmering with tears. "Daniel, you would die." His lips curled into a small broken smile. "Better to die with you than live without you." The girl's body trembled, her glow flickered for the first time. Her fear was not of the hunters, not of the ruins, but of losing him. Her voice broke. I don't want you to die." The ruins roared again. Louder, the abyss opened wider. The hunters lunged all at once, claws descending like a storm of death. Daniel made his choice with a roar. He scooped the girl into his arms and leapt forward. Not away from the abyss, but into it. The world turned white. The air tore from his lungs. For a moment he felt weightless, falling into fire and whispers. The girl screamed his name, silver light bursting from her body. Wrapping around them both, the hunters above shrieked. Their red eyes blinked out one by one as the abyss swallowed them whole. The forest crumbled. The ruins consumed everything. And then silence. Daniel opened his eyes. His body floated in a vast ocean of light. The girl hovered beside him, her silver glow brighter than ever. Her voice echoed, soft and broken. "You shouldn't have jumped," he smiled faintly, reaching for her hand. "And let you face this alone? Not a chance." The light around them pulsed. Thousands of whispers filled the air. Voices of the ruins. Ancient and hungry, they surrounded Daniel, clawing at his mind. But when they touched the girl, they stopped. Her glow pushed them back. She turned to him, her eyes filled with sorrow. The ruins, they know me, they will not let me go, but you don't belong here, you can still leave. Daniel shook his head, his grip on her hand firm. I already told you. I'm not leaving. Her tears floated in the light, shimmering like stars. Then we end this together. The ruins screamed. The light turned violent. Daniel felt his body tearing apart, but the girl's glow spread wider. Wrapping around him like armor, her voice rose like thunder. No more chains, no more hunters, no more ruins, end it. The ocean of light shattered. A shockwave erupted, swallowing the ruins, burning away the hunters, collapsing the abyss into nothingness. When the light faded, Daniel gasped awake. His body lay in the forest, quiet. Still and whole, the fissures were gone. The ruins buried, the air was calm, but the girl was gone. Daniel sat up, his chest heaving, his hand clenched at the empty space beside him. His voice cracked. No, don't leave me, the forest whispered softly. The wind carried silver sparks that swirled around him like falling stars, and in the faint breeze he heard her voice, gentle and warm. I am not gone, Daniel. I am free, tears streamed down his face. But he smiled through them, his voice trembling. Then so am I. He stood, the broken spear still in his hand. His body weak, his heart heavy, but his spirit unbroken. The hunters were gone, the ruins silenced. And though the girl's body was lost, her spirit lived with him, guiding him. Daniel walked into the dawn, a human who had defied ruins, machines, and death itself, not because he was the strongest, but because he refused to let go. And somewhere, far beyond the stars, the silver-eyed girl watched, smiling.